Good evening, everyone. I hope everyone is doing well today. Nippy is what the weather this is. Oh, well, my English is very good for a good start, isn't it? The wind here is very nippy, basically. But thankfully I've got my protection on. Well, it doesn't protect my tips, but hey-o, what can you do, eh? But I digress. That's not why you've come here. You didn't come here to find out whether my digits are holding up. No. This is another video about Nigel Farage. And I honestly hoped to God that what happened as far as the libel and slander about him doing this, that and the other, about basically being a troublemaker and making his living off of grifting, I hope this would be the end of it, quite frankly. But not only was I proven wrong, but it seems to me like Nigel Farage has doubled down. And there's no way, there is no fucking way that I think he's going to recover his reputation after this one. Not a chance. I mean, you can call him a grifter, you attack him personally, that's one thing. But what Nigel Farage did next was completely reprehensible. What did he do? He accused him of being a woman beater. Violence against women. Yep, I know what you're thinking. Why the fuck would Nigel the phony Farage do that? Now, I think we can all accept that Tommy Robinson is not a perfect man. To use his own quote, he's not claiming to be polishing his halo. He is not claiming to be one of those lovely choir boys. But what he is he is a person with standards. He has never beaten his wife. He has never attacked any women. He may have attacked a cop who was harassing his wife, but this is an entirely different context. And the context of it is very simple. Tommy Robinson was defending his wife against an off-duty cop, who aren't exactly known to be the most pleasant people. But Tommy Robinson, like I guess you could even say it, like a gallant knight, engaging in the art of chivalry, he defended his wife. And he was completely in the clear until he made one fatal mistake. And that mistake was basically when the officer was on the ground, he's sitting there kicking him and in the head, which obviously that's a very, very big no-no. And because of this, it lost him his job. I think he was an aircraft mechanic, I believe, or something along those lines when he did this. He lost that job. Just, well, not a very good click, is it? God damn these fucking gloves. Anyway, he lost his job, just like that. Now the only way he's flying a plane is if he goes, meow. But jokes aside, we have to get serious, because Nigel Farage accusing him of being violent against women, this isn't just, oh, he beats his wife. This is, he attacks women in general. And I'd like for him, Nigel the phony Farage, to provide evidence. I'll give you a quick spoiler though. He won't find any. Do you know why? Because he's never attacked a woman. Never. We know the religion of peace loves to do that, because they treat classes, stroke number one, they treat women as second-class citizens. And now I'm going to dig deep for this one. No, really, I am digging deep. I'm going into my pocket to get my notes. Anyway, I am going to dig deep with this one, and I'm going to tell you exactly, verbatim, what his wife, sorry, his ex-wife, who I won't reveal the real name of, even though I know it, because class and respect. But I'm going to read out verbatim what she said in regards to these malicious false allegations. And I quote, it has been really upsetting to hear Nigel Farage has accused my ex-husband of perpetrating violence against women. Having to sit down and talk to my children about these false allegations which are all over social media, is not something any mother should have to do. I have never ever been assaulted by Stephen ever in my life. Tommy Robertson, for those who are wondering. There has never been a call to the police about violence towards me or any other woman for that matter. Stephen has never been charged or accused of violence towards me or any other woman. These lies have to stop. Our children do not deserve, or don't deserve, to have these allegations thrown in their faces by their peers or questioned about it in their friends groups. Who the hell does Nigel Farage think he is? What gives him the right to spread lies and misinformation about my ex-husband? What gives him the right to upset my children with these false allegations? I am so sick of hearing absolute lies spread about Stephen, which affects our children. And then she goes on to repeat that line. I'm so sick of hearing the absolute lies about Stephen. Stephen isn't a perfect man. He has never claimed to be a perfect man. We've had our challenges as a family because of his activism and his journalism. That goes without saying. But I cannot and will not have a high-profile politician like Farage spread fake news about my children's dad. The lies have to stop. The lies have to stop now. Nigel must apologise for what he has said. My children have endured enough lies and misrepresentations about their dad to last a lifetime. End quote. I think that's one of the longest ones I've ever had to quote out of. Anyway, back to you, Nigel Farage. What say you about that? Because I think that, what I've just quoted, what I writ out during my work time, I think that pretty much debunks your argument. Just like that. And if Tommy Robinson's own ex-wife is coming out and defending him and telling you, you must apologise, that's got to say something. I mean, you fucked up before, but you have royally fucked up this time. As far as calling him a grifter is concerned, you could have just been a gentleman or a man about it and said, you know what, I read the room wrong, I got it wrong, I'm going to take the L and I'm going to move on, and I hope you can forgive me for this mistake. But in a move that I would expect from Keir the traitor Starmer, and not somebody like you, Nigel Farage, you doubled down on it. You had already taken a pretty big L as it is, but now that L is going to be weighing you down so heavily, I don't think you can ever recover. I think after the first time, I could have said, you know what, oh yeah. I think the first time, you could have said, you know what, you can recover from this. You might be able to recover from that shit. However, after this, after the false accusation of violence against women, nah, you're cooked, bud. 200 degrees in the oven, 15 minutes, ding. Do you know what I think, Nigel Farage? And this is just my humble opinion, not fact. But you know what I think? I think Elon Musk hit you right in the bullseye. I think he's hit you right in the bullseye, and your pride couldn't take it. Now, as I've said also before, none of us are expecting you to invite Tommy Robinson to the party. None of us are expecting you to kiss his ass or lick the stroke number 2, lick the mud off his boots. Nobody's asking you to do that. What we are expecting, however, is that you don't go out of your way slagging off a man who can't defend himself, quite frankly. Because I'll tell you right now, you wouldn't even have the guts to speak to his ex like that, let alone the man himself. I said it before and I'll say it again. You, Nigel, You're a coward. You are a fucking coward. I think you're a man who doesn't quite frankly have the balls, whether up here or down there, or in my case both, to be able to actually say these things to people when you meet them. I guarantee you, if I ever see you again, like I did in Birmingham just before the election, oh, I'm going to tell you exactly what I think of you. And you know what? I can't wait for that day. I can't wait for the day where you're up on stage addressing your people and I personally come along myself to heckle you. I cannot wait for the day that I meet you in person and I put these accusations before you. Because as I said, I've got the balls to do it. I've got the balls to actually go up to someone and confront them on their principles and their beliefs. You don't. Your judgment on this has been abysmal. And that's putting it nicely. I could think of a whole load of other words that could adequately describe how badly you fucked up, Nigel Farage. And I suspect, because I'm making this video and putting this out there, I suspect I'm going to be on a no-entry list now. As soon as I show up, both of me, it's going to be like, no, both of you, get out of here. Because we know what you're going to do. I suspect that's what you're going to do. You know why? Because you're a coward, Nigel Farage. And I will keep saying that. You are a coward. If you had any guts and any integrity, you would speak to Tommy Robinson about these issues in person. You would speak to him about this libelous slander that you've been putting out effectively. Do you know what's ironic, though? What I find deliciously ironic, if only it was a good meal, maybe it then would be delicious. Anyway, what I find deliciously ironic is the fact I even made videos saying you should sue people like, what's his face, Lord Hesseltine. I can't remember the first name off the top of my head because I'm too tunnel visioned on Farage right now. Or was it Mandelson? It might have actually been Peter Mandelson. I do remember his fucking name, I can't really forget him. But it was one of the two. I told you I would personally go after them and sue them. Hell, you were even taking one person to court, I believe, if I recall correctly. Even applied for legal action. I believe it was against the bank, though I'm not 100% on that one, and I'm sure somebody will correct me on that shit. But what it boils down to, Nigel Farage, was I used to tell you should go and sue these people. And now look. Now I'm calling for Tommy Robinson to sue your ass, Nigel the phony Farage. Nigel the backstabber Farage. Nigel the malicious slanderer Farage. How ironic as well how people would say you cannot barrage the Farage. Oh, I am unleashing a hell of a barrage right now, and you are ducking for cover. But I think what I find particularly egregious more than anything is if we flip the roles, if we flip the script and basically had it the other way round, I guarantee you if Tommy Robinson had said you were a woman beater and you were violent against women, you'd be taking him to court, just like that. That's what I find disgusting more than anything, because I think you're one of those types of hypocrites, Nigel. How sad, how truly sad, a man who I used to genuinely respect, a man who I thought, that man is going to lead this country. That man is going to lead us to a brighter future and a brighter tomorrow. Now look at you. The future for you looks about as bright as my backroom closet. But what say you, Nigel Farage? I've even put a tweet out there as well. Yes, I am on Twitter every now and again. I do tweet every now and again. And as always, it will be linked in the description below. But the way I look at it, Nigel Farage, if you don't have the balls to debate Tommy, and to be fair, I guess I can't truly blame you, to be devil's advocate here, I guess I truly can't blame you for going after the man you've libelously slandered, because he would wipe the floor with you in less than 5 seconds. But if you don't want to debate Tommy Robinson, I'll fucking debate you. I'm pretty sure Paul Thorpe or Richard Inman or Maya Toosey would debate you. I think there's a whole load of people who would want to debate you right now, Nigel Farage. And as always, my email will also be in the description below. Contact me. Let's have a fucking debate, Nigel. Though I will warn you right now, while I will tone down the language to be a little more professional so it can be more in line for career politicians and the like, I am going to make sure, and you can say it with me, I am not going to sugarcoat a motherfucking thing. I am not going to mince my words. I am going to say it exactly how it is, and I will do my best not to bullshit you. Unlike what you've been doing over the last 48, 72 hours, quite frankly. But what I find particularly sad is I'm probably going to lose some subscribers on the way. I mean, to be fair, that's expected when you're a YouTuber or a Twitch streamer or whatever. When you go out of your way and you put your opinion out there, and your opinion differs from somebody else, of course there's going to be a clash of opinions, quite frankly. It's just a matter of, you've got to pick yourself up and move on. You win some, you lose some. Ironically, like gambling. Though, thankfully, as I've mentioned before, I now occupy that gambling habit, I'd like to think, with a nice little game of poker called Ballatro. No real chips on the line on this one, no real money on the line, just a very addicting game that I love to pass the time with, that allows me to tax my brain a little bit as well. And no, the HMRC aren't getting a hold of that. Anyway, it's a nice little game I like to play just to keep my mind occupied, and it'll keep my mind sharp. Sharp as a poker sharp. Or sorry, a card sharp. Oh man, they are going to cut real hard. Because when my cards land on the table, Nigel Farage, good luck defending yourself. I accept, as I have before, I am not discrediting what you've done as far as Brexit is concerned. If it weren't for you, Brexit would never have happened. Though, to be fair, it hasn't really happened because the HMS Brexit was manned by Ramonas. It was manned by people who do not believe in Brexit. It was manned by people who have as much belief in this country as I have belief in eating salads. But I think this is, quite frankly, your party's, well, actually, do I want to say the party song? No, I don't think so. I think that's too much of a stretch. But I will say it's indubitably your swan song, Nigel Farage. Only, rather than being a sad violin, it's basically, because that's where you're going. You're going straight down, buddy. As I said, I don't think you're ever going to recover from this one. If it was just that one thing, I'd say, yeah, you might have a chance. But after slandering Tommy with the accusations of violence, nah, I'd say your chances of getting back up there are like my chances of going to the moon in a rocket, quite frankly. I don't think you've got any chance of coming back from this one. Maybe, though, and just as a little secret, there's a possibility I may be getting in touch with Nigel Farage sooner than you think, because I am planning a live stream with Patriotic Christian, and hopefully there will be a chance to see the man himself and confront him on what he has just said. Hopefully. Can't guarantee it, but I'm going to do my absolute damnedest to put these questions to Farage. And unlike the mainstream media, who we all know are about as useful for journalism as a chocolate fire guard is for protecting us from fire, quite frankly, I'm going to make sure that Nigel Farage does get his chestnuts roasted, quite frankly. But like I said before, I know there are some people who are going to not want to be part of this anymore, because I've decided I've all but given up on reform. I haven't completely given up on them, bear that in mind. As I said before, I think the only way I could ever back reform again is if the following people resigned. And I mean from the party entirely, not just as a matter of their positions. Nigel Farage, Richard Tice, Anne Whitler, with stroke number 3, Anne Widdecombe, Lee Anderson, Zia Youssef, although he's more of a donor than an actual position in reform. But if those 5 people leave, maybe I'll back reform again. Even more so if people like Ben Habib or Rupert Lowe are leading the party. But as far as right now, as far as backing the party now, as far as backing them for the future, no chance. Not unless those 5 people go. Isn't going to fucking happen. Until it happens, my decision and my beliefs say that Nick Tenconi and UKIP are the way forward, quite frankly. I will never change that belief. I will never change where I stand on that. I think reform, unless those changes are made, they're like a spent shell in a shotgun, and they fired their load. They tried to politically assassinate Tommy Robinson. And there is a golden rule as far as Tommy Robinson is concerned. You don't slag him off. You don't take him on. Because look at everyone else that has tried to take on Tommy Robinson. Look what's happened to them. When moles tried to get into Tommy Robinson's group, infiltrators with infiltrator as in TRAITORS tried to get into the movement. They got expelled. Just like that. What say you? That's the thing. The ironic thing that they never mention as well is that Tommy Robinson completely disavows the far right. He completely detests that notion. I completely detest that notion. Which is why Keir the Traitor Starmer, or as I lovingly called him in my latest post on YouTube, Keir Hitler 2.0 Starmer, needs to go. Unconditionally, unequivocally. Because, like Adolf Hitler himself, you cannot reason with dictators, or maybe I was right first time, like Keir the Traitor Starmer. You have got no chance of that. We tried to reason with Adolf Hitler when he was going to invade Poland. We told him, if you invade Poland, we're going to war. And look what happened. A 6-year war with Germany, with a far-left socialist. And what is Keir the Traitor Starmer? He is a far-left socialist. He has even come out and said he will do everything he can to protect the Muslim community. 7% of the population, 27%, I believe, live in social housing. 30% child defect rate from inbreeding with their uncles and cousins. They're responsible for 67% of terror offences and are responsible for 84% of all grooming gang crimes. But of course the mainstream media won't tell you this. You know the drill, folks, because say it with me, it doesn't suit the narrative. Or was that the unemployment rate, the 30%? I can't remember now off the top of my head. It'll be on my post though. You can easily look up the community stuff and find it for yourself. Don't just take my word for it. The Anglo-Saxon bloke actually put that out there, so he should be the one who gets credit for that more than anything. But I am deviating. The bottom line, as far as Nigel Farage is concerned, is he hasn't just shot himself in the foot, he's taken his whole fucking leg out, quite frankly. He's got no leg to stand on now. He has got absolutely no hope of leading this party to victory while he continues to libelously slander that lot that made him something. Like I said, in April 24, he was a nobody again. After he left UKIP, he disappeared into obscurity and tried to come back as the Reform Party. That was in April 24. He tried to become someone again. We, the people who were behind that lot, Tommy Robinson supporters, we gave him those votes. We made him what he was, what he is. We helped him with at least tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of votes. Which again is something he's not going to want to admit, or the mainstream media is going to want to tell you. We made him something. We can make him nothing again. Just like that. It's up to you, Farage. It's now not just come from me. or people like Paul Thorpe, or people like Maya Toosey, or people like Richard Inman. It's now come from Tommy Robinson's ex-wife herself. You need to apologise. You need to apologise for the libelous, slanderous accusations you have made against this family. How you are basically making those kids suffer from all the misrepresentation, the misinformation that the leftoids and the traitor party, Labour Party, or yeah, again, maybe I was right first time, who constantly bleat out, we must combat misinformation. Oh, we must do everything to prevent the far right and the misinformation. Yet where's the misinformation coming from? Ironically, I would say Nigel Farage is more along the lines of centre-right, which is what makes this, I guess, to some extent, even more tragic. The fact that it's coming from this side now. And as I've said before, I will call this shit out whether it's on the left or the right side. I don't give a shit. Principles. It's a matter of not allowing people who make these kinds of salacious remarks get away with their actions. And I am going to call them out, whether it's Nigel Farage, or whether it's Tommy himself, or whether it's some leftoid like Tony the War Criminal Blair or Keir the Traitor Starmer. Just like I would expect anybody to call me out if I make a mistake, quite frankly. And I've definitely made plenty of those in my life. But it's time now, Nigel Farage. No more pussyfooting around the situation. You need to come out and openly apologise to Tommy's ex, to his kids, to him, and to us. Remember, people like us give you the votes you need to get your little positions of power. And as I said before, I campaigned and said, you know what, this man needs more political representation for the votes he got. And now I'm going to say it again. Thank God you didn't, quite frankly, because I dread to think what more scumbags in power in the Reform Party would do if they were like you, Farage, or like Richard Tice, or like Lee Anderson. I dread to think how much more harassment his family would be getting, quite frankly. Well, now you've made your bed, Nigel Farage. Now it's time for you to lie in it.